But first, we are tracking Idalia as it strengthens on its path towards Florida's Gulf Coast. This morning, the National Hurricane Service says it's now a hurricane, and it could strengthen into a Category 3 storm before it makes landfall in Florida. Cristian Benavides is in Tampa with the latest. Cristian, good morning.
Anne-Marie, good morning. Millions of Americans are in the path of now Hurricane Idalia, which is expected to continue to intensify, bringing with it strong winds and life-threatening storm surge.
After thrashing through western Cuba yesterday, Idalia is expected to hit Florida's west coast in less than 24 hours.
This is going to be a major impact, and Floridians should expect that this storm will be a major Cat 3+ hurricane.
In Tampa, the shelves at this target are already bare, while residents also fill up their tanks and sandbags.
If you prepare for it, then you're ready.
Chris Dosel stocked up in Gainesville while traveling home to Tampa from North Carolina.
We know once we get to Tampa, there'll be nothing.
Sanibel Island and Port Charlotte residents are anxious, with many still rebuilding from last year's Hurricane Ian.
My concern right now is, will my home withstand the storm?
Mandatory evacuations have already been ordered for parts of at least 10 Florida counties, including here in Hillsborough County, though the governor warns there is no reason for residents to leave the state.
It's not necessary to try to outrun the storm, just get to higher ground.
President Biden spoke with Governor DeSantis yesterday and has already approved a federal emergency disaster declaration for the state.
Last year, Hurricane Ian switched tracks at the very last minute. And so officials here in Florida are telling everyone along the state's west coast to be on alert. Anne-Marie?
I remember that, Cristian. So let me ask you about this present storm, though. Florida is waiting for Idalia, but it already hit the western part of Cuba yesterday with winds about 80 miles per hour. Stronger storm now. But have you heard anything about damage or injuries there?
No official word when it comes to injuries or potential deaths from Idalia after it just thrashed through Cuba. But we do know that flooding was a major concern, as it is here in the state of Florida. We know that there were some fishermen's village that, they were sort of trying to put their canoes behind some marshland to make sure that it wasn't washed away. And again, no official word on what came out of all of this, but we know that the main concern was for potential flooding.
So you've covered enough of these to know that quite often people do not heed the warnings. But it might be a little different for this area because they've already been struck before by a pretty powerful storm. What's the sense that you got from people on the ground there? Are they taking this storm seriously? Are they packing up?
Well, look, this sort of, I don't want to say it snuck up on everyone, but this is a storm that formed pretty quickly. Some of the folks that I've spoken to, they are heeding those warnings. They are trying to take this as seriously as possible. Just for some perspective here, Anne-Marie, yesterday we were out reporting on Clearwater Beach, and they told us that by 7 p.m. we needed to heed the mandatory evacuation and be out of there. And now here in downtown Tampa, this specific part, because it's so close to the bay, we're going to be out of here by noon. In fact, the hotel is shutting down at 11 a.m. and stores here are closed. I think one of the big takeaways here is Governor Ron DeSantis said, there are linemen on standby for the strong winds that we're expecting, and those linemen are going to bring the power back, but ultimately lives can't be brought back. So there is a major concern for that storm surge. We saw what happened in Southwest Florida with people that didn't heed those warnings. We're hoping that that does not happen again.
Yeah, and when I recall Southwest Florida, there were some people who didn't leave because they couldn't. I remember seeing senior citizens in sort of apartments on the second or third floor. They thought they would be fine, but flooding kind of made it so that they couldn't get out. So what do we know about other vulnerable members of the population, whether we're talking about senior citizens or homeless people? What's being done for them?
Well, look, shelters certainly are available, and we know that officials here have been out there, not just on press conferences, but they're out there. And, the resources as far as what's available are those shelters for people that need it the most. And again, right now, the X factor here is, where is this going to make landfall? We're looking at it. We know that this has been moving, further west, further east, further north. But that's why officials are telling everyone along the west coast of Florida, you need to be prepared, because we just don't know where this is going to land. One of the things that actually stuck out to me is, as I was going to a number of stores just to sort of grab supplies for us, you go to these grocery stores and the shelves where the water is supposed to be are empty. So water is in short supply, in the sense that you're going to stores and you're really having to go around to find water. In fact, I spoke to one woman at a Publix here, a local grocery store, who told me, I grabbed the last few gallons of water in the store. So it's certainly something where people are just, getting ready.
Yeah. And if you waited too long, you might be out of luck. Cristian, thank you very much.